Morning. Okay, so Nick, I'm here with Dr. Rafael at the law firm, which we're going to hopefully be signing a joint venture regarding Nepal and Turkey. But this specific call is for you and Max to talk one-on-one regarding the SBLC monetization. So I'm going to shut my big fat mouth and just let you both talk. So hopefully you have your list of questions. Nick, so fire away to Max and let Max enlighten both of us, educate both of us on the SBLC. So I'm just going to shut my mouth now and let you both talk, okay? So I'm just going to mute that. So go ahead, Nick, all yours.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot, Dr. Ying. Hi, Dr. Rafael and Max. Great to see you. Thanks for taking.
Likewise. Yes. How can I help you?
Absolutely. So what I wanted to ask you about is really focus upon what the limitations are around the allocation of capital within these SBLC contracts, particularly in the real estate realm, on how I'll put it this way. What are within the monetization of the SBLCs, what are the limitations as far as the allocation of the capital throughout the duration of the contract?
Now, as you know, the SBLC, when you want to do monetization, we normally look at fresh card. Now, the limitation is obviously 366 days. That means the SBLC will expire in 366 days. That's one limitation. Now, the second limitation is that the LVT, that means the loan value term, okay, that will depend on the entity use or the entity, that's underwriter to monetize the SBLC. Now, if we talk about Blackstone, well, obviously Blackstone has a huge quota, approved quota, and banks would like to work with them. So that's not an issue. So it's pending on what company you are using to monetize. And the company that is monetizing it will be also the beneficiary to receive the NT760, or we call it SBLC. Now, in terms of other limitation is the value of each SBLC. Now, the minimum we normally talk about is 100 million US dollar or 100 million euro, which is the norm actually. Now, of course, you can go as low as 15 million as long both parties agrees, the buyer, the provider, and the sender. Now, you can go as high as 500 million. Now, please be careful when you do this SBLC. There are certain countries, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, I believe in US the same, there is a benchmark that you cannot cross. And once you cross, there's a certain KYC or certain approval that you need to get from the monitoring authority of whichever country you're in or city you're in. Because that will basically cross the threshold to forbid, or rather to check whether the money, the SBLC, is it related to money laundering or the source of the fund that's raising this SBLC. Because remember, SBLC is 100% cash back. It must be 100% cash back. If not, you cannot, or gold, actually. There's only two commodities. Actually, there's three. One is gold, one is cash, the other one is asset. That means if you own a building, you collateralize the building with the bank. Now, the bank gives you a valuation. Then this valuation allows you to raise an SBLC. So that's one way of doing it.
So to use an example there, thank you very much, Max. To use an example there, the building example, so the third being an asset. So let's say that you were to purchase a commercial building to convert it to residential, and then you had income, it'd be an income revenue generating property. Does that then have to, upon year's end, because if you think of that, that would, in order to do so, that would be longer than a year period of time. So do you have to, can you hold on to the physical asset upon the end of the SBLC contract duration and then continuously own the property, or do you have to pay? How, I'm just trying to think how that would work, but
Okay. Now, I understand where you're coming from. Let me explain to you. When you use a building to collateralize it with a bank to raise an SBLC. Now, depending on the value you're looking at, I give an example. Say the building is worth 100 million, and you want to raise an SBLC, say 100 million as well. So the bank will do a valuation. If they come and tell you, oh, your building is only worth fixed asset, maybe worth about, say 75 million, then you would come, as you say, I will use the rental to support the constant or the regular income as part of the collateral. Now the bank again will reassess, because your rental, people can pay, people cannot pay. There are variables, there are variables that changes. For example, your contract that you sign, it can be a 1-year contract, 2-year contract, or 3 years contract. So the bank will do a discount. Say, for example, your rental income is about, say, 13 million per year. So the bank will say, okay, we can only look at it at 60%. So if that value add up to be 100 million, then they will raise the 100 million SBLC for you. But at the end of the day, you must be able, okay, to pay back the SBLC, because the SBLC will be basically expired. Well, unless you are the provider and also the beneficiary. So you are actually left pocket to right pocket. So the bank can't do anything to you. Neither can they do anything to your building. But if you monetize it, that's a different story.
Okay, Max, that answers my question, which is I'm pleased to hear the answer. And then could you please thank you on that. That's what I need to know. And could you please expand a little bit? I know we had a conversation. It was one of the first meetings we were on where we were discussing the gold. It was a refinery, and what you do for one of the vehicles that you use for your clients in the gold space. Could you elaborate a little bit to me on what that current relationship looks like, and how we can work that into our operation? Okay,
now for gold, we are actually a licensed HSBC gold bullion officer, licensed to trade gold. In fact, we are also supported by HSBC fund in terms of multiplier. For example, if we were to put 100 million worth of gold with the HSBC, now HSBC will give us a so-called multiplier of 1.25 or 1.2. That means a 20% more or 25% more, so that we can use this to buy more gold. Now, in our model, when we buy gold as a gold dealer or gold trader, when we buy, we will ask the seller for discount. And in the market, the discount is normally about 5%, the norm. Maybe you can get a bit more. Okay. Now, for the 5%, that means we only pay 95%. Now, we only pay 95% when in our so-called procedures or in our SOP, we only pay when the gold is sent into the refinery, melted down. We know the exact weight, the purity, based on the price index on that day, then we pay. That's one way to get funds out of that. Now, the second way is, if you're short of cash, short of fund, what you could do is you sell the gold to the refinery. The refinery will pay you premium as well, but the payment will come in about 48 hours. So basically, you have an exit strategy for gold. Okay, that's one way of just to make 5%. All right.
Yeah.
No, for us, we actually go further. Is getting the 5% discount, and once the gold is refined into hallmark So those bar like 1 kg bar or 2.5 kg bar, we will take this gold, we will deposit with the bank. That means collateralize it with the bank, and then we'll tell the bank will come to us. Okay, I know you have $100 million worth of gold. Now I have financial products. That means short-term, mid-term, long-term yield. Say for 6 months, a year, or maybe 2 years, 3 years. Are you interested to buy? Then they'll give us a certain return. Say maybe 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, or even 7%, depending on the risk factor as well. So this is what we do. So we actually make money on both ends.
Got it.
If we can get a 5% here, 5% there, that means we make 10%. And then when we collateralize the gold with the bank give us more money to buy more gold. So it's a circulation. So it's like money generating money. And the bank is happy. The bank is happy to do the business with us because the bank is not at a loss. The risk for the bank is low because the gold is with the bank.
Yeah.
So we are actually doing trading. We make money from the discount that we get, and we buy the financial products that give us the return. Now for banks, financial product, the bank need to generate income. So they have this financial product that they want to attract investors. So that is where we come in.
Got it. Max, that was really thank you for answering both of those two questions. That's what I was wondering, and both and you've answered them both clearly. So thank you for that. The last thing I wanted to ask was, as far as as this goes with Blackstone and with our system in the X desk, understanding that our system it should be about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, is what we originally had on the calendar, and I think we're still there to hit that target in a capacity. What I'm wondering is, though, irregardless of the system being on, let's just say I'm Joe Schmo off the street, or a group. What is needed to are there certain licenses specifically that you need to have to take on one of these SBLCs, or is it just the risk that you are taking by taking upon that contract? Do you understand that question?
Yes, understand. Now, the monetary of authority of whichever city or countries you are in, when from party A issue a SBLC to party B, one question raised is, what is the purpose of doing this?
So say it was for a real estate, a building project, and
yes, you could say that it's an investment, that I have a partner who would invest in using SBLC as an instrument, and he allows me to collateralize it. I mean, he's when it's called for, he will be responsible. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons normally when I do for real estate as well, we also do that. Now, there's also another question that people will raise. We all know that SBLC is fully cashback 100%. Why are you raising an SBLC where you can send the fund directly if you are investment for real estate? So you must prepare to answer this question.
And it can be a combination of direct investments and also
Yes, you could. You can have already, maybe you have existing investors who are coming out with hard cash. You have investors who are not able to move their fund. Maybe their fund is blocked, but the fund like block fund like MT799, we call it, and it can be used to raise an SBLC. Reasons given in that manner, but the bank must be able to support you, to give you acknowledgement that the fund is clean. It is there's no legal problem to it or attached to it, and the source of the fund is known.
Got it.
Yep. So
Ab-
I hope that can answer the question. Now you have to be careful when you're doing an SBLC. Firstly, what's the use of SBLC? Normally it's being used in the commercial term. Now we use SBLC because we can use gold trading, because we know there are risks involved. So people just want security guarantee. Don't forget, SBLC expire 366 days. You can only cash it out 366 days unless you monetize it. When you monetize, you will incur costs.
Mm.
That means you have an interest to pay. You're asking for a loan, actually. And you get a lower quantum. Instead of 100 million, you only get back maybe 80 million or 85 million when you monetize it.
So in that Sam, and as you said, why makes sense for certain scenarios and for you is due to the gold aspect of it and the operation you have there, because you're confident you're making back the 5
Correct.
guaranteed, and then you're using other.
Yes, for us it's actually to issue an SBLC normally to the seller, is to ensure the seller that we already have one set of funds lock in or block, so that he feels comfortable to keep selling the gold to us. In the event that we could not pay or anything happened, he could actually go monetize the SBLC and cash it out. So that is one of the terms, when you use SBLC. It's actually a payment security guarantee, actually.
Yeah.
But most people, or in fact, I seriously don't recommend when you're doing business trading, to use SBLC, because the risk is high. People can monetize it. It can be collateralized. You can be collateralized with somebody, and then at the end of the day, when you want to write off, or when the SBLC expired, then you have all the legal issue coming in. People are making claim. I mean, this is already collateralized. So now you have to, sort of like, you put the things in a pawn shop, you have to retrieve it back, you have to pay.
Yeah.
And also, it depends on the countries you are in. The laws are different. So you have to be careful which country you're in. You're talking about SBLC.
Absolutely. Got it, Max. Those are my 3 questions there, and you answered them very well and concise, and I greatly appreciate it. That was the information I was looking to get. Dr. Ying, were you listening on that? Do you have any other questions?
Absolutely, right now? Absolutely. I was extremely well educated by Max. Max, you're absolutely brilliant, bro. I want to thank you, Max, and like I said, I hopefully, sorry, I'm just moving to room now, so I'm holding multiple conversations. So yeah, no, I'm absolutely listening, and I recorded this, so that way the precious information, education that Max is now captured, and I'll send Nick this recording, so you and I can go over again at our leisure and make sure that we learn exactly the vital information that Max has given us. So thank you.
Go further for Nick, for Nick's sake, because you're now, rather we are now, buying an SBLC, monetizing an SBLC. The way to move forward, the way to make the seller, it could be Aziz, it could be Hamid, or whoever it is, to make them comfortable, to get your best term. I'm not sure, Nick, whether you could show, perhaps in your name or in somebody who is related to you, a proof of fund, say 100 million, just 100 million will do. Okay, if you are able to manage this, get it out, under the bank title with your name and so on, then you could actually, send it or show it to these people, the seller SBLC. They will come to you with fantastic discount, fantastic terms, and so on, because they know you have the fund.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question on that, Max. Good point you raised. Obviously, the deed of agreement is what both parties sign. So is the proof of fund the entity that signs the DOA? Now, if I'm correct, I believe Nick and his partner Chris have signed up as Blackstone, who obviously, as you know, is a name recognition everyone knows, so they don't need a CIO who Blackstone is. But if I'm correct, the DOA on our party will actually be signed by Blackstone. So does someone like Blackstone have to show the proof of fund, or will their name recognition alone be say to the other party, oh, it's Blackstone? Oh,
Okay.
of course we know who they are.
Everybody know who Blackstone is. So
Yeah.
if the deeds of agreement or the DOA is signed between Blackstone and the seller or the provider, then obviously the provider asking for a proof of fund will be a bit, on the crazy, side.
Yeah.
Because you must know who is Blackstone. If not, you're not in the system. Neither are you, in this sector doing this SBLC. But to me, even up to now, I keep wondering, for Nick and Blackstone, what is the business relationship, number one? Who is actually paying for it? Is it Nick, you are paying for it, or Blackstone is paying for it? Because at the end of the day, the SBLC, the beneficiary, who is it going to be? Is it you, or is it Blackstone? That will make a lot of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because that is related to the account that you are setting up now. You are setting up accounts with HSBC, could be with Chase, with JP Morgan and so on. But are those banks, allocated to be the beneficiary or the receiving bank? And those receiving bank are basically linked to the payer, the guy who's paying for it.
In this scenario,
that's why I have informed Dr. Ng. We need to know the role that we are playing, the role that you are playing. Each and everybody's position. Who is paying? Who is monetizing? Is it the same person or is it separate? And what are the terms between everyone?
Yeah,
that's very important, because at the end of the day, you have a lot of arguments.
We're going to the next we'll get on the calendar here for next week, Max, and if we could join us, we'll have Noah on, his father, Chris, myself, John, and we'll be going over the particulars with Blackstone. In that scenario, they are the beneficiary. I think what we were talking about as well, though, just to give it a different circumstance, would be if I had a private backer, say, with $100 million, then we can go about it without having to be through Blackstone, correct?
Correct. You can do it. And then after that, you can monetize it yourself. Then, try to monetize it as high as you could, say maybe it's 90%. Then use that 90% to raise another SBLC and sell it to Blackstone at a higher rate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's right. But then obviously, Nick, if you have a private entity that has 100 million, then of course that private entity has to sign the DOA and show the proof of fund to obviously because without the name recognition of Blackstone, then that entity, unless they're Fidelity, unless they're not heavyweight, of course. But
Nick, that's one thing I need to point out now. Now, if you have 100 million, you buy the SBLC at say 50%. So you make actually 50% out of it. Okay. Now there's no reason for you, or no sane reason. I always look at it this way, is to use that SBLC that you purchase to monetize it to get 95% or 90%, unless you are using the fund yourself. Okay. It is stupid to raise another SBLC to sell it to somebody at a discount, another, say 60%, where you lose 40% for nothing. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So if somebody comes to you and tell you to do that, you better be careful of this person.
Makes sense there. Guys, Max, this is really again very, very helpful. What I'm going to do, I will make sure to get this on our calendar for next week with Blackstone again, so we can go over the particular terms in that. And in the meantime, we'll again, I think that this was really helpful from the standpoint of making it clear, and that's what I thought exactly. I mean, it's a different type of scenario with the Blackstone that would be from a private fund.
Yeah,
Direct.
absolutely.
Yeah, and again, I think we have a really strong partnership with them there. So we're gonna let's do that. I'll get that on the calendar for next week, you guys. And again, we'll have Noah, his father, Chris, myself, and John on the
Perfect.
with that, just for I know you guys are jumping into a meeting over there, Dr. Yang, Max, again, so much, highly appreciated.
No, thank you.
No
So,
problem.
all right.
No problem.
So again, thanks for again, Max, so much, and that's why Max is so important as part of our pay equity partnership. And obviously, I think we can do this on a win-win. So Nick, you and Lauren, enjoy the day. So if you want to make your way up here to the meeting as well, we're going to be starting pretty shortly on Nepal and Turkey, which Max is also going to be involved in. And earlier we had a great conversation with the mayor of Nepal as well on the infrastructure project as well. So because obviously these funds that we're raising through pay equity partnership, as you know, we're going to be using the leverage nationwide to invest in global initiative to obviously so that we can influence the world on a good way as well. So that's the overall picture. So again, so Nick, take good care of yourself, and as well, Max. And thank you again, Max, for educating me and Nick. Okay, and I'll let Nick set up the conversation with Blackstone next week. So we'll speak to the partner, the underwriters that will underwrite this SBLC. So God bless you both of you. All right, take good care. All right.
Yep. Thank you. Take care. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, folks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
Dr. Yang.
No problem.
Yeah.
I have phone issues right now, so if communication wise, I'll be on Lauren.